What's going on, everybody? It is your boy Zamboni. I'm a musician and astrologer, and it is time to talk about the astrology of the week ahead. As always, I thank you so very much for being here. Thank you for sending this video to a friend if you like this kind of content. Thank you for getting a 10-minute reading just like this for your own very personal chart. We can check it out and see what's going on with you, make it a little more resonant for whatever it is that you're going through. You can find that at zambonifunk.com/store. You can also get merch there. You can get wall hangings. You can, there's a 60-minute option. There is also an electional report on my Patreon. So if you're like a beginner astrologer and you are looking for times when you want to launch your project or do your thing, you can find that patreon.com/zambonifunk. You can, I've got a little report there where you can sort of like get good times. There's also times to avoid. You can also go to Spotify, Tidal, Pandora, Apple Music, wherever you like to get your music at and listen to my music. And that is super well appreciated. Thank you for doing all of those things. And for tipping via Venmo, Cash App, PayPal, I forgot that one as well. Let's talk about the astrology of the week ahead. So this week is very emotionally intense. We've got big emotional stuff going on this week. It is resonant with the eclipses that we just had. So yesterday we had a new moon solar eclipse in Libra. So that is to say that we had sun, moon, and south node all together there in Libra. So last week I think I talked about how this is likely resonant for whatever has been going on with the Venus stuff. So we had this long Venus retrograde over the summer. It was like Venus retrograde in Leo, and then Venus. And so during a Venus retrograde, there's like this reevaluation around whatever the Venus things are, including house placements, including Venus things like cooperation and relationships and togetherness and this kind of thing, sweet things, things that feel good. There was a reevaluation of that. Then now in this Venus ruled sign, we've got the eclipse stuff going on the south node. So south node eclipses look like doing less of something, getting rid of something, purging, a decrease in some kind of way, right? I think I talked about that a lot last week. So now we are past the eclipse, still deeply in eclipse season. The eclipse was like 24 hours ago at this point. And then also, so the sun is still right there in Libra and conjunct the south node. And in fact, we're going to see a Mercury kazmi this week that is conjunct the south node. So that is to say that Mercury is going to come and conjoin the sun, and then those two are on top of the south node as well. So usually when I think about a Mercury kazmi, this is a forward Mercury kazmi. Mercury is direct right now, moving forward, and is conjunct the sun. So a lot of times when we think about the Mercury kazmi, we'll think about like some kind of like special message that'll come through in some kind of way. It'll be a moment of like maybe some kind of clarity around the Mercury things, maybe some kind of like communication can come through in a particularly clear and precise kind of way. It's likely that whatever comes through here is going to be connected to all of the eclipse stuff, all of the Venus retrograde stuff, all of the reevaluation and all this kind of thing, right? Like whatever is not working you need to get rid of that thing, right? And so a Mercury kazmi might be time to say your piece around that, to say submit your resignation letter or whatever that is, right? Like if you need to get out of some kind of situation, then this is a good moment for planning and planning your exit strategy, and then maybe delivering that message to whoever you need to escape from or something like this, or whatever needs to be, like sending that message looks like it wants to come through during this Mercury kazmi. Now what's really interesting here is that this is also square to Pluto in Capricorn. So Pluto in Capricorn is, that's our Pluto's the power planet, where there's usually some kind of like power play or power dynamic that's involved with Pluto. A lot of times there will be some kind of like rotten underbelly situation to Pluto. So, and then Capricorn stuff, so the Pluto in Capricorn was associated with, we had the Saturn-Pluto conjunction in Capricorn that was in 2020. And so we saw how all of the power situations changed in a really dramatic way during that time. We saw major isolation taking place, and then all of the emotions that go along with that, all of the monetary concerns that go along with that, all of the like feelings, you know, like there were like splits in communities, people lost friends, people lost lovers, like all of this kind of stuff happened during that time, right? And so that's the kind of thing that Pluto in Capricorn has been about. We can also go back to like 2008, the financial crash that happened at that time, and the sort of like expansion of the big banks and all this kind of thing, right? So like that is the Pluto in Capricorn story, which we are nearing the end of. Pluto's going to move into Aquarius in January. We'll get one last little toe dip back into Capricorn, so we're not quite done with the Pluto in Capricorn story, but we can see that Pluto in Capricorn gets the megaphone this week with the Mercury kazmi exactly square to it. And not only that, but there's this Mercury kazmi that's conjunct the South Node. So there's some kind of purge here. There's some kind of like getting rid of something that looks like it wants to be connected to the Pluto situation. So on a historical level, that looks like, you know, it looks like it might want to have to do with the banking situation and the way that power happens generally. But on a more on a more personal level, then we might see something here that is around like, how do I navigate the power that I have in my life and the power that I don't have in my life, right? There's a lot of like, in the sort of like zeitgeist at large, there's a feeling of like powerlessness, like I am so small in the face of the wider capitalist system or whatever, you know, like whatever is going on. If you know, we're moving toward presidential elections in my country, and so there's this sense of like, you know, like, does my vote even matter, and this kind of thing, right? Like that sort of stuff comes up a lot, right? And being powerless in the face of like racism and sexism and all the rest of it, right? And so with that sort of situation going on here, then it's now's a moment to interrogate our relationship to power, like this feeling of powerlessness that we might have, like how true is that? And so, and my asking that question doesn't mean that it's not true at all, but it sort of just begs the question a little bit, like how true is it? And if it's not entirely 100% true that I have no power at all, then how much power do I have? Like maybe I don't have the power of like the singular creator deity who like controls all the worlds and everything, right? But maybe I do have the power to do the things in my life in that I have dominion over, that can maybe get me away from old stagnant patterns that need to be disrupted and need to be gotten rid of, this kind of thing, right? So there's something going on there that looks like it wants to be deep, resonant, and potentially difficult even. Speaking of potentially difficult, we've also got Venus, who's ruling all of that Libra stuff, in Virgo right now. Venus in Virgo is a situation where there's a lot of emphasis on the flaws or mistakes or the things that that could cause calamity, right? And so Venus in Virgo is actually approaching a trine to Jupiter in Taurus all week. We can notice that Venus also rules that Jupiter in Taurus, right? And so this actually looks great for the Venus thing. So whenever I think about Virgo, then I think about like an attention to detail. I think about planning, and I think about like sort of sorting things, actually. Sort of taking the things and putting them into their boxes so that they become intelligible and more useful, maybe easier to find later, right? If you've got all your like screws and nuts and bolts and like all the stuff sorted properly, then when you need to grab one, you know where it is. You don't have to like dig through the stuff, right? That's how Virgo likes to operate. The organization matters a lot here. So to see a trine to Jupiter, so Jupiter wants to help. Jupiter tends to be supportive. Jupiter wants to improve the situation in whatever capacity it is. Right now, the Venus things are feeling a little bit roughshod. They're feeling like, oh, things don't feel good right now. It's more difficult to get to the sweetness than something like a Venus in Pisces or Venus in Taurus would be, right? And so because of this difficulty, then now is an opportunity to generate the plan to organize the things, maybe in a way that doesn't feel fun in this moment, right? It doesn't, like, we start the week with the moon in Scorpio, right? Like, that's I don't really like it kind of situation, like big intense feelings. But from that place, maybe that can be some kind of motivator to generate the plan, generate the infrastructure, generate the stuff that it takes to make a better world for ourselves and our communities and all this. Thank you so much for being here. I'm out of time.